Hello and welcome back. This is David, and today we're going to be discussing the Table of Nations, the Tower of Babel, and be introduced to the first of the patriarchs, Abraham. The Table of Nations is Genesis 10, and in there we meet the world's first empire builder, Nimrod, the grandson of Noah's son Ham. Nimrod is referred to as both a mighty warrior and a mighty hunter, and he's also credited with founding Babylon and Nineveh, which were capitals of the Babylonian and Assyrian empires that would later on invade and conquer Israel. He's also credited with building Shelah, the great city, which is a city that's today known as Nimrod in Iraq. The prophet Micah also refers to Assyria as the land of Nimrod. After the Table of Nations in Genesis 11, the descendants spread out over all the earth after the flood. At this time, all mankind spoke the same language, and some people settled on a plain called Shinar, which is an area that is today in Iraq. On that plain, they decided to make a monument to human ingenuity. They said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the whole earth." That's Genesis 11:4. The Lord sees the tower being built and perceives their motivation. They're trying to do what their ancestors Adam and Eve did, which was to be gods themselves. So the old sins of pride and self-sufficiency are at work. So God comes in and frustrates their plans. He confuses their language and makes it impossible for them to understand each other. They can no longer communicate with each other to build the tower, so they scatter over the earth. The location of the unfinished tower is called Babel, which, purely by coincidence, by the way, resembles our English word Babel. The literal meaning of the Hebrew word Babel is gate of God. The foolish builders must have believed that they could open a gateway into heaven. The story really does just provide an explanation for something that humans have long wondered about, which is why do people speak different languages? But asking whether the story is literally true is really to miss the point of it. The tower was an attempt to be godlike. Human beings cannot, of course, build a tower into heaven. The point of the story is that they made that attempt, and in the Babel story, human alienation from God and from one another had become so great that they could no longer communicate with each other. Now, in the last part of chapter 10 of Genesis, we are introduced to Abraham. Genesis is actually divided up into two sections. Chapters 1 through 11 explains the origins of the universe and mankind as the creative acts of one single God. In the context of creation, the origins of human suffering, sin, death, and hope are also explained. In addition, God reveals himself in those early Genesis chapters. We see him as a powerful, yet very personal and loving God who deals in mercy, but will not draw back from judgment. In these first chapters, the foundation is laid for our concept of God and for our understanding of the human condition. These first Genesis chapters sketch God's dealing with mankind as a whole from creation to Abraham, which is a period of time which extended over many thousands of years. The second section, which is Genesis chapters 12 through 50, concentrates on less than 200 years and only 4 generations. This emphasis is very significant. God no longer deals with the entire human race, but only with a single family, that family of Abraham. Through this family, he intends to ultimately bring salvation to everyone. Beginning with Genesis 12, the later on succeeding 905 chapters of our Old Testament concentrate on that one family, that of the chosen people, Israel, through whom God's purposes will all be worked out. And the heart of the second part of Genesis and of the Old Testament itself is the covenant that God makes with Abraham, committing him to a unique relationship with man, and embodying promises which reveal the purposes he'll be working out through the salvation history. And we will get more on into that next time on The Bible Easily Explained. This has been David. I hope you've enjoyed this, and have a good day.